Hi there, my name's Al. Today we're looking at Gardevoir EX. This is a Pokemon card deck that has been winning a lot lately and has just won Portland Regionals as well, with two very skilled Gardevoir players. And I want to look at this deck again and also break down the match and stuff and break down the deck for those who don't really have experience with it just yet, maybe, or still trying to like go through it, because this deck is really, like I said, powerful right now, really played often by some top players, and it can be a little tricky sometimes because you're dealing with a lot of moving parts in the deck with damage counters, with Monkey Dory, with moving things around, with numbers, with, it's very kind of intricate as well. So I want to kind of go over it and look at our winning Gardevoir thing. And it's going to be great. And it's been a while since I saw this art for Gardevoir. Look at this cute Curlia over here, the family. It tells a story. I love it. But the drawing and then her with that, yeah. So Gardevoir EX has been around for a while and like has not fallen from grace just yet. So let's go ahead and take another look at Gardevoir EX and specifically break down more of the match that went on, how this deck works, especially this list in particular, and so on. So Gardevoir EX, if you are new to the game or don't really have experience with it, the ability Psychic Embrace lets you, as often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic Psychic Energy card from your discard pile to one of your Psychic Pokemon. If you attached energy to a Pokemon in this way, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon, and you can't use this ability on a Pokemon that would be knocked out. And then it does have 310 HP and Miracle Force, which does 190. So that means, yeah, the deck revolves around, or the ability revolves around taking your Psychic Energy and getting it into the trash. If you play in Japan, that's what they call the discard. It's just trash, and I like it. But yeah, it has not gone away, and it's gotten some different tools and different Pokemon throughout the months and months it's been in format, and will probably still continue to be used. But right now, I would say the main big stars of the deck is Drifloon and Screamtail. Drifloon here has Balloon Blast. It does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, and Screamtail has Roaring Scream, which says this attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So take note with Roaring Scream that it does not specify active Pokemon. It can hit Pokemon on the bench if there is no protection, and we're going to go more into that. Even though Gardevoir EX is a deck that features, the main Stage 2 Pokemon with the ability, these single prize Pokemon are really running the show and makes it a game where, you can kind of outpace a little bit as well. And so that's another reason why it's very powerful. So the cool thing about this finals and stuff was that both players were playing the exact same list, and they both knew it inside and out because I believe they are testing partners as well. So this was a list that was shared among both, and it was really cool to see them both know how to go through the deck and the games like they did. Secret Box is another huge tool, especially for these players. Not every Gardevoir list runs the Secret Box A-Spec, but you can ask Henry Chow, and even in an interview, he'll say that Secret Box is the secret. So Secret Box lets you use it if you discard 3 other cards from your hand, which is a very heavy cost, but you get a lot in return. You can search your deck for an item card, a tool card, a supporter card, and a stadium card. You reveal them, and then you put them into your hand. It's really great. So finding that at the right time is great. So Henry started out with Mew, and then got access to Secret Box early on, and moved to set up the board state with Ralts, and then also grabbing Rellor. Rellor and Ravska are in the Gardevoir list now. At least it was in these two especially. So Rellor evolves into Ravska, and Ravska has Spherical Shield as its ability. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to your benched Pokemon. So being able to avoid bench damage and effects is super good and key part of the deck. You don't want your Ralts and other little Pokemon being picked off by other Screamtail or other things like that. Raging Bolt in the meta right now has a way to get damage onto the bench, which is scary. We are going to have Shaman soon, but this one, Rabska, because it says effects of attacks as well, we can protect against things like Dragapult dropping damage counters onto things, because that's an effect of the attack. However, it does not stop Monkey Dory's ability, because it is an ability. So this is going to be a huge part of the Gardevoir deck as well. Oh my goodness, the Monkey Dories. Adrenabrain is the ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any dark energy attached, you may move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is incredible. We're gonna see again in that match how Monkey Dory was utilized and how moving around damage counters is so important and a big part of this deck and of gameplay. I mean, it's really good. Gardevoir is a deck that plays with damage, moves damage around, and really takes advantage of any damage on the field. Cannot be found with Buddy Buddy Poffin, but can be found with Artisan, which is found with Secret Box if you're able to. So Artisan lets you just once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and put it onto their bench. Easy peasy. So takes the first prize by attaching energy to Monkey Dory with Gardevoir's ability, 4 damage counters on Monkey Dory, and it was able to KO the 90 HP Screamtail by moving 3 damage counters and then attacking with Mind Bend for 60. 2 Monkey Dory is threatening, so being mindful to take KOs and not carelessly leave damage on the board for it to take advantage of it is important. Using Psychic Embrace to attach a Psychic Energy to Monkey in order to retreat, adding 2 damage counters onto Monkey, and using Psychic Embrace to attach to Drifloon, putting 4 damage counters onto Drifloon, and then moving one of them to Monkey Dory before attacking for the remaining 90 damage. Screamtail attacking the bench is super powerful. The next prize is taken by Henry through Screamtail attacking for 80 damage to the bench Monkey Dory, and the extra 10 damage needed was only 1 damage counter moved off the Gardevoir. The Monkey Dory flooding happening is so interesting to watch, and it's easy to search that monkey off of Artisan as we saw. The next turn from Michael is utilizing the Secret Box to find components like Counter Catcher and Bravery Charm, among other things. Gardevoir is in many ways a comeback deck, and Counter Catcher is such an important tool for it, a vital resource, especially in the mirror. And ever since Gardevoir was kind of introduced, I think you can agree that, the idea was that if you give Gardevoir a lot of time, that is just making it more powerful as it sets up and as it stabilizes and just becomes unbeatable in some ways. Michael countercatches up Gardevoir, attaches a Bravery Charm to Drifloon, and the math begins. 8 damage counters are added and the Drifloon goes to 10 HP, but then Drifloon KOs the Gardevoir because 11 times 30 is 330. Extra pieces are added to Henry's board, like Fez and Ralts, but no Gardevoir online means no Psychic Embracing, which means no extra damage counters onto Screamtail to get it to hit harder, but Drifloon was going down without a problem anyway, and that's the next prize. Ralts on the bench looks super tasty, but there are usually no boss's orders in Gardevoir right now, and not in these lists either. And Screamtail can normally attack things like that, but with Rabsca in play, it is protected. Note that Adrenabrain can still be used, even with Rabsca, because it works a little differently as an ability. Gardevoir EX is loaded up with 3 energy thanks to its ability, dropping 60 damage counters onto itself, then moving 30 with one Monkey Dory, and moving another 30 with the other Monkey Dory, and moving them all onto Screamtail for the KO. Double Adrenabrain is powerful, and this isn't even the attack for the end of the turn. This is just abilities. Henry promotes Fez, knowing Miracle Force hits for 190 only, and the monkeys were just used. Note the use of Psychic Embrace to retreat Monkey Dory at some point in order to have damage in play, but also more importantly, keeping that dark energy attached to Monkey Dory so it can continue to be utilized. Because you do need the dark energy to be found and attached to Monkey for it to be utilized. Psychic Embrace just pairs so nicely though with Monkey Dory, which is why Gardevoir is very powerful and works well. So because that's all we can do, Gardevoir hits for 190 damage. Kind of a rough situation for Henry. It seemed pretty much over considering the movement of damage from the monkey on the next turn, potentially. No Turo to get out of this. Finding Bravery Charm for Fez to avoid the double monkey KO was key at that point. The Bravery Charm, though, was found and put onto Vezendipity, which made it at 70 HP, meaning the 60 damage Monkey Dory threat is gone. Ralts is in the active. So yeah, the double Monkey Dory, if you see that on board, you can sometimes just think, yeah, that's going to be 60 damage, and playing around with the Bravery Charms in order to avoid that is also very important and key. And so, there's skill in trying to find who to attach these Bravery Charms to and stuff. all about the numbers and knowing the stuff inside and out. So more psychic embracing is happening to build up more damage onto monkeys and then sending the 60 damage to Fez with 10 HP left after that. Not many options for Henry. Really, at that point, it was just moving 30 off Fez using Adrenabrain to put Fez at 40 HP, but then you'd also have to KO a monkey to avoid the double situation again. But it does happen. Michael, though, went through the entire deck to use a professor's research as well, finding another Monkey Dory eventually and Darkness Energy, and that wins game 1. Game 2, the prizes looked a bit better, but only 2 Ralts available from the beginning. Drifloon still got prized. Once again, though, Monkey Dory was searched out very early through Artisan. Both players got Rapska into play early on, knowing the importance it might have on the mirror and preventing damage to the bench through Screamtail. Gardevoir is a deck relying on setup, and this game really showed that. This game was kind of funny, actually. Both players were hesitant at times and opted for plays like not going aggressive in order to avoid giving the other access to Fez and Countercatcher. There was like this weird dance going on. Eventually, Psychic Embrace attached energy to Ralts on Michael's side, letting it retreat, and then Psychic Embracing onto Screamtail, moving all 4 damage counters with double Monkey Dory onto the Rabska. This is when it got really silly. I love this part of the match. It's kind of ridiculous. And then Slap for 30 damage. That begins the slap cycle. The slap cycle, do you play Screamtail for slap? No, but you want to know it from watching this. All right. Henry just does the same thing. Henry also had double monkey in order to move the damage from Ravska to Michael's Ravska, and then another slap back. Really interesting to watch, this buildup of damage counters and the utilization of them, taking priority. Michael did the exact same play again, moving 4 damage counters to Henry's Ravska and slapping with Screamtail for another 30. And then Henry did the same thing again. I think it was partly his hand was kind of bad, but that's so funny. Oh man. Alright, move 40 damage from my Rapska to yours and then take a slap. But instead of continuing again with this another 40 moved and slap, the 40 was moved to Screamtail and KO'd it. Henry then promotes Curlia, and then Michael ends up KOing that too and taking a 2-prize lead. And then at that point, it looked like Henry was not drawing well, like I said, and the predicament looked like a tough one. Finding Night Stretcher for Gardevoir was like the key. And Henry tried burning through cards and using research eventually to find a Night Stretcher, but ultimately did not find it. Remember that Henry prized 1 Gardevoir, and one play to make in this deck is to discard Gardevoir early on and get it back with Night Stretcher at the right time, but this was not happening, leading to a big shift in momentum. For sure, and a lot of cards burned through in order to try and find the Night Stretcher. There was a lot of hesitancy, it looked like, with benching another Ralts or keeping the bench space open for another Pokemon, and it was looking kind of rough. The Rapska stall attempt was easy for Michael to escape from, and unfortunately, Henry had to just leave Ralts in the active. It really wasn't going that well, but ultimately, the energy to retreat Rapska was found and utilized, and then Screamtail was promoted. Only 1 damage counter got moved onto Henry's Rapska, and Screamtail attacked the Ralts for a prize. Henry's deck was very low on cards thanks to the Night Stretcher fiasco for Gardevoir, and eventually it was found, but ultimately the KO was taken on the Screamtail, and a lot of resources were lost, like I said. An uphill climb, especially since Screamtail had that Bravery Charm attached still, and damage had to go there. Like, it was a lot. Michael was then able, though, to find Drifloon and could use it to attack the only Gardevoir Henry had access to, which would ultimately just kind of end things. And ultimately, it was clear, once the Bravery Charm was found and attached to Drifloon, that was pretty much over. And that's how Michael Davidson won with Gardevoir EX. Once again, here's the deck here. So I am not quite a Gardevoir main, I would say, I wanted to cover the basics and look at this match a little more closely because it's a good way to learn, but I would also love to hear from other Gardevoir players. I know that Gardevoir is popular now, and, this list was really good, and I'm sure it'll go up in play a little bit after this, but another strong list was from Brent Tonneson, the kind of a meme at this point, the Brent Tonneson 60. So let me look at that one real fast. So, oh my God. I forgot. Okay. This is a meme. Okay, this is a meme. So the Brent Donison 60 has been utilized by so many players. Look at that. Oh wow. So this one's a little different. All right, this Gardevoir build has, we see some similar faces. We have Lily's Clefairy EX, we have Monkey Dory, we have some Curly as well. Yeah, Fez. Okay, everything is kind of going. We also have Badoo here, though, and Cleffa. We got two baby Pokemon, 30 HP Pokemon that are running the show. These guys are really helpful. I definitely want to do a video on little 30 HP guys who are kind of running the show. These guys, and Joltik. But anyway, this one also plays Secret Box. Now, Secret Box, I think, is a good item card to find. The Bravery Charm, 3 of them, is important, not only for your Drifloon, but also for protection, but mostly also for Drifloon, because, like I said, having this little attacker be able to attack for a lot by having a lot of damage counters on it is really good. I mean, it's a good deck to play. This one does have Turo Scenario, whereas the other did not. Potentially, maybe in this meta, you would want a Professor Turo Scenario, again, just to avoid being, like, trapped in some way, but I think it's really good either way. This one had a Mew, like I said, the Rellor Rabsca, and this one did not have the Rellor or Rabsca. So you can kind of consider that Pokemon as well. It's really interesting to see some of these lists as well and how they are in motion and in play. I think it's really fun watching Gardevoir, and it was really fun watching the match to be able to kind of follow and look through all the damage that was being used and in what way during the match, and really just showing the power of Monkey Dory with everything involved. And Screamtail is also just so powerful, especially if your opponent is not running any sort of like bench protection. It's really great. Ultimately, the match was really fun to watch, and I hope this was helpful in kind of breaking it down more for people to kind of catch up on how Gardevoir had done this weekend and won ultimately with both the finalist and semi-finalist with this one list. Really awesome to watch. Watch out for Gardevoir. I think it's still going to be popular for a little bit, at least until we get a shift in the meta a little bit. But we'll see how that goes. Definitely subscribe or like if you feel so inclined to, if you enjoyed the content a lot. But don't worry, watching is also wonderful. Thank you again. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye!